free essences for everyone, and a ton of changes coming to the game, coming very, very soon. For more news like this, stick around for this week's episode of This Week in Identity 5. Welcome back everyone to another episode of This Week in Identity 5. I am back from my mini week holiday. You guys probably never even realized that I was gone, but I did take a week off creating YouTube content, although you guys still did get content last week, so I'm a little bit better rested, so that's good. So let's talk about what we got last week. Last week we got the Summerfest. The Summerfest is an event where if you complete some quests, you'll be able to get some rewards, some fragments, some clues, some spyglasses, Alexander the Great, and a special currency called costume remnants. I haven't really been playing that much this week, or technically last week, so I'm not really sure if the costume remnants are used towards getting B tiers, but that's what I understood before the event started, so you guys can kind of clarify that down below. I think everyone was really looking forward to getting the Alexander the Great pet, so this is a really cool event for those who really wanted a cool little pet. Another addition that of course NetEase did not tell us about is that they were adding some new skins into the Spyglass Store, and that's what we got. We got quite a few skins added to the Spyglass Store. That's always a great addition since they are free skins. We got a B tier skin for Gardener that's called the Soul of the Forest. We got a B tier skin for Axe Boy called the Death of Uriah, and this one actually has a little mini animation on it. The tree on his head, as I could tell, was glowing, so that's kind of cool. And we got a B tier for Coordinator called Lancesang, and a B tier skin for Magician called Cocklebur. Apart from skins, we also got a B tier accessory in the Spyglass Store that's called the Knot of Fortune. So quite a few additions, yet no new S tier sadly. If you don't have enough spyglasses to purchase any of these skins, well, NetEase has got you. If you spend some money, you'll be able to get a spyglass package that has 100 spyglasses, 188 clues, and 188 fragments. This is only available in the store, and I think it will only be available for a week or so I'm not completely sure. A secret little thing that they dropped on us that they of course had not announced beforehand was that they've added a spectate your friend and also spectate other people function to the game, where you'll be able to spectate matches as they happen. I think there is a delay to make sure that there's no cheating involved. You can't mess around with people cheating by telling the hunter where the survivors are and so on. But this does permit you to just see what your friends are doing and also record some matches of your friends playing without them having to do it themselves, or just kind of checking out what top players are doing at the time. There is also a function in the settings to turn off this mode if you don't want people to watch you. But as I understand, there were some issues with the spectate function, and I'm not completely sure if they fixed it, but NetEase did announce that there were some issues, so let's hope that they fix that quickly. Some small changes they did: improved hair and face for Prisoner's Paranormal Detective skin. Of course, this is a main priority in the game. We need to make sure that Prisoner's face works normally. And they've also improved the visuals for Professor's scaled skin trait indicator on his avatar. They've made it more transparent, so you'll be able to see your health state even if you haven't been hit by any chip damage. That's really it. That's all we got last week. What are we getting this week? And for this, maybe I've been out of the loop for a little bit too long with this last week holiday, but as far as I know, there isn't really anything coming out this week. Again, NetEase likes to drop stuff without announcing them, like the spectate feature that nobody knew was coming until, well, there were some leaks of course a couple of days before, but nobody knew it was coming out until it actually came out. The whole skins in the Spyglass Store were also kind of announced. We are continuing the Summerfest, and we are slowly getting closer to the new season. Really, there's nothing going on this week, and they haven't really announced if all of the things that are coming in the future that I'm about to talk about are going to be added soon, or if they're going to be added in following weeks. It's possible they're going to drop all of the changes that I'm about to talk about this week, but it could also happen the following week, so I'm not completely sure. Let's talk about what we're going to get in the future though. Well, first of all, we're going to get 10 free essences, and I believe they're going to be anniversary essences, and they'll be coming from the 6th of July to the 27th of July, where you'll be able to get all of these, and of course probably get some cool skins with these 10 essences. Let's hope. Now, let's talk about the big changes that are coming to the game. Before we get into the specific character adjustments that are coming, let's first talk about some global adjustments that will affect all hunters and all survivors. Well, first of all, there are small persona web changes. Rage and Desperate Fight, that are two hunter persona web traits that reduce the stun time and stun duration, will now also count towards Novelist's control ability when he uses his inspiration book to control the hunter, and also towards the Professor's stun once you've hit them with their shield. I understand that maybe Novelist Swarm what didn't count as a stun, but I'm very surprised that Rage and Desperate Fight didn't affect Professor's stun. I'm very shocked at that because that is just a pure stun. Very confusing. The Hunter Persona Web Hunt, that is the ability that lets them move faster after chasing a survivor without using an attack or an ability for some period of time, won't be interrupted upon losing sight of a survivor briefly. I'm surprised once again that this wasn't already the case because this is very confusing, and survivors will get a tiny buff against one of the Hunter's Persona Web traits, the newest one called Confinement, that is the one that blocks the Cypher machines. Now survivors will be able to see the blocked Cypher machine when they are in a close radius and proximity to the Cypher machine, and there'll be a new quick message that will pop up that you can press to send to the rest of your team to indicate that that Cypher machine is blocked. Small change that some of you might kind of get caught out by is that the ban and character selection time has been decreased by 10 seconds. So you have 10 seconds less to pick your character and to change your skins and to select all of the bans. I'm not completely sure if this is only in rank. I think it's also for quick time. I guess it's just so that netties can quickly try and get more matches happening. I'm not completely sure. And if you are a top tier rank player, there's also going to be a new rank spawn selection mode that they've been hinting for quite a long time, but it's only going to be limited to tier 7 50 plus stars, so that's pretty high up. Both factions will apparently spawn at a certain distance from the selected location that they have chosen, and again we still have yet to see how this will affect rank in general and the game in general, and see if they will maybe just testing it in high tiers so they can maybe bring it down to lower tiers later on. Maybe this is only going to be a high tier thing. Let's begin with all of the character adjustments. First, we've got the Hunter adjustments. Wax Artist is getting a ton, and I mean an absolute ton of adjustments. I have like a paragraph here, so let me quickly go through them as fast as I can. First, he's able to now interact and go through blocked windows that he's blocked with his wax, and also I think break pallets that he's covered in wax. He can now cancel his hot wax ability that will instantly put it on cooldown, and his hot wax won't increase on survivors by itself, so you have to be shooting them with the hot wax for their hot wax to increase. His shooting speed has been increased by 20%, that I would assume means that their percentage will go up if a survivor gets hit by the wax faster, and survivors that have been hit by the wax, the normal wax, not the hot wax, I think, maybe not the hot wax, I'm not sure, will have their movement speed decreased. If they have 20% wax, they'll be decreased by 2% movement speed. If they have 50% wax, their movement speed will be decreased by 4%, and 80% wax will mean 6% slower movement speed. Wax will now also remain for 2 seconds longer than it already did. It used to last 10 seconds if you had it and you weren't hit by it, any more wax, but now it will last 12 seconds. All of these are very strong buffs apart from the hot wax not going up by itself. He's also going to have a small pallet breaking speed increase and improved controls for aiming wax and improved wax visuals. So he's getting a lot of changes because he was one of the weakest hunters in the game. Although some people may say that they disagree, he really was underpowered because of a lot of maps that affected him and the fact that you could just never get people to 100% consistently in the early game. This movement speed decrease for survivors is going to make him way more consistent, and survivors having wax for longer as well. It is a shame that the hot wax won't self-increase, but I think that's fine since they messed around with his shooting speed. I'm really looking forward to see where Wax Artist is after this adjustment. I think he might be a B/A tier possibly instead of being at the bottom in the C tier. Evil Reptilian is getting a small buff where his first jump is going to have a reduced energy cost from 20 changed to 15 points of energy, meaning that every time he does the first jump it will use less, but the second and the third jump will use more energy. His missed attack recovery, as I understand, is going to be slightly shortened, and his jump cooldown won't start if he fails the jump instantly. You have to crash into something instantly for the cooldown to be cancelled, and your cooldown will just be reset and you'll just be able to use your ability again. Clerk is getting an adjustment. I would say it's more of a nerf, but let's just see how this goes. Clerk is getting a more realistic hitbox for her hit recording, so this means I think that it's going to be a stronger hitbox, and she's going to have her recording time when she's recording a survivor reduced from 12 seconds to 6 seconds. So this does mean that her anti-decoding ability is going to be less consistent, and it also means that I guess she's going to have to be more careful when she's recording players to use it at the exact right time in the early game at least. Ripper is getting a much needed adjustment, one of which is only towards Entomologist, because if he attacks the bees when he has a Foggy Blade, the Foggy Blade will deal damage to the bees and his normal attack will do that. Now they will disperse immediately upon hitting them with this double hit in one. He also is going to have a small improved attack recovery and hitbox stats, and everything to do with his attack has been adjusted slightly and decreased, so meaning that he has a slightly better hitbox, hit attack speed, stuff like that. Dream Witch has had a bit of an adjustment. Her main body can now pass through Priestess's portals, and the stun will still be applied, so she won't be able to move immediately after going through a portal. If you're trying to remove a leech yourself, well, it has now been shortened depending on the number of followers that there are on the map, scaling from 0, 10, 15 seconds reduced. Removal time will also be decreased depending on the number of eliminated survivors. Now, if there is 1 survivor eliminated, then it will take 25 seconds. If there are 3 remaining, then it's another 25 seconds still. If there are only 2 remaining, then it will only take 20 seconds to remove it. And if there's only you, then it will only take 15 seconds to remove a leech. So this is much, much faster. Let's move on to the buffs and adjustments, I guess, for some of the survivors. First up, we've got Barmaid that has had a really strong buff to herself, where now her self-healing time when she takes one of her drinks has been reduced from 21 seconds down to 19 seconds. So that's 3 seconds faster for you to self-heal. That is incredibly strong for her, since this means that she will more consistently be able to survive when she tries to escape in a kite. She also doesn't get any decoding debuff or any other debuffs in general from taking the drinks now. Survivors will when she gives them a drink, but she won't, so she doesn't get the tipsy effect. Gardener's had a much needed adjustment where she now has an on and off switch for her protection bubble. So now you don't need to move every couple of seconds to stop the bubble from appearing. The bubble will just be able to be cancelled and turned on and off whenever you want them to. If the bubble is interrupted, then the reuse will now have the previous recall time. So this means that if you use the bubble and you don't get to complete it, originally I think it would apply that as being you tried to use it, so now it's going to take longer the second time. I now believe it won't do that because it counted as, hey, you tried but you didn't do it, so try it again. But a little bit of a nerf that she got was that now whenever she tries to use the bubble, it will take a little bit longer to use. It's been increased from 5 seconds to 6 seconds to use the bubble from the base usage the first time you use it. Gravekeeper's had an interesting change where now his shovel won't be used up completely if cancelled before 13 seconds of usage, as I understand, but will instead be now replaced with a shovel that has less usage time. So I believe it will only last 13 seconds if you cancel it. So if the hunter comes towards you, you can now use your shovel without having to worry about using too many of your shovels up, because technically you can have up to 4 shovels if you use it correctly, so that is cool. Weeping Clown is getting a buff, where the explosion that buffs survivors' movement speed when they are hit with the explosion will now last 2.5 seconds instead of 2 seconds. So that means they can run for much longer, but not much longer, a little bit longer. And also the stun duration and slow duration that the hunter will be affected by if they get hit by the rocket or the radius of the rocket has been extended from 2 seconds to 2.5 seconds. So this might make it a little bit more consistent at helping with balloon rescues, but we'll have to see. First Officer is now becoming a mini decoder. I'm joking, he's not going to, he still has his debuff, but every time he uses the watch, his decoding speed will be increased by 7%, up to a maximum of 14, so technically twice. This means that it will kind of counteract some of his decoding debuff and make him a little bit stronger. Hypnosis, the effect that he applies on the hunter, where the hunter won't be able to see exactly where First Officer is, but will be able to see the after image, won't be removed upon getting hit now, but instead will disappear when the survivor interacts with a chair, or of course is downed. Little Girl is getting a nerf where her volume for her teleport has been increased, so hunters and survivors alike will be able to hear when she teleports a little bit easier, and if she cancels the teleport, she will now be revealed to the hunter for 5 seconds. I'm not sure how often teleports get cancelled by when you cancel your own teleport. I'm not really sure that, I didn't even know that was a thing, so Not sure how much that will affect her, but I think the sound volume increase is something that's nice. Batter is getting nerfed, where his bat charging time, the time it takes him to charge up his bat to full, has been increased from 1.5 seconds to 2.5 seconds. That I think also will affect how far he pushes the hunter for each point of charge. It will take a little bit longer for him to push in general, the hunter a little bit further away, and of course his ball push distance has been reduced by 10%, meaning that the hunter is not going to go flying away as he did before. Postman has had quite a few different nerfs to his letters. The calm letter can now not appear 3 times in a row. The Hope letter effects will only last for 120 seconds. This is the one that reveals the exit gate, buffs the exit gate decoding, and also reveals the dungeon. It will now not be infinite and will not last infinitely. It will now have a duration of 2 minutes. The Hope letter will also now be reduced from a decoding buff of 30% to a decoding buff of 15% when opening the exit gate. So that is interesting to see. It means that the gate won't open as fast, and of course it won't last as long. The dog slow effect, so if you manage to land your dog on the hunter, will not last as long now. It will only last 5 seconds instead of the original 6 seconds. So that's 1 second less. Forward has had a mini nerf. I think this is a good nerf for him. His minimum stun time that has been changed, that has gone from 2.5 seconds to 2 seconds. Priestess has been nerfed, kind of, with her increased stun time for longer portals being reduced by 10%. So if the hunter goes through a long portal, they get stunned for longer. Now it will be 10% less time that they are stunned for, but the minimum time remains the same if they go through the normal minimum sized portal. This is a small change to Priestess. I think a lot of the community would have liked much bigger changes to Priestess because this really doesn't really affect her that much. Novelist has also been nerfed, where each time he uses his inspiration, and his inspiration is completed, by that I mean he gets to 100% of looking at the hunter, the next time that he tries to get to 100% will take 3 seconds longer, up to a maximum of 9. So 3 times he can use his controlling ability technically. This just means that he won't be able to continuously spam his ability so often. I think this was a pain for low to mid tiers. Magician is being nerfed now, where his rescue invisibility that he used to always get after he was rescued will now only happen on his first chair. So if he's rescued from his first chair, that's fine, he'll be invisible, but if he's chaired again, he won't be invisible once he's rescued. And this is fine because Magician was buffed incredibly a lot recently and made him really good and really consistent, and I think they're just afraid to hurt him too much because people are starting to play him now, but they just want to make sure that he's a little less consistent. And I do think being able to be invisible like 90% of the match now, what the Magician has the ability to do, is a little bit too strong, so I think that's good what they've done. Moving on to the Talk in the Manor, where I respond to your comments that you guys left in the comments on my recent videos. As Shadows says, all these hunters have unique styled hairstyles even when they're hunting, while mine can't even stay placed for more than 20 minutes. SMH. Yeah, I understand that. I feel like hunters go through quite a lot. They get stunned, they hit survivors, they carry survivors, they pick them up, they get pallets dropped on them, and yet their hair still looks as pristine as it did before. If I just do any of those things, my hair will go completely crazy. So yeah, I do think that's a little bit weird. Chenning says, please make more DBD. I had quite a lot of comments asking for me to do a little bit more DBD content and also play it on stream. So yeah, I think I will be doing that anyway. As you guys know, my channel is not just an Identity V channel. I also cover other asymmetrical games. So of course I'll be playing other games. Last week that I had a little bit of a holiday, I was playing VHS, Video Horror Society, for those who might not know what its original name was, and I have fallen in love with that game, and I really do think I'll be covering more content of that in the future. I have also created another YouTube channel just for that game. There aren't any videos over on it yet, but there will be in the future because of course now I'm getting back to work, I get to make more videos. You guys tell me which adjustment for which survivor or which hunter do you think is well deserved, and which ones do you think aren't well deserved? Tell me down in the comments below, and whilst you're down there, remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this every single week, and check out the Black Phoenix Plus channel because I also do new stuff over there. Have a great day, guys. Bye bye.